So I was driving along in the M5 one day, and then I pulled over to the side of the road shortly thereafter, and I was welcomed by a set of codes on the dash. I had a bunch of lights. It was like Christmas all over again. I had lights all over the dashboard lit up. All of a sudden the car looked kind of goofy too. It went from your normal red line of 8,500 RPM. All of a sudden I couldn't rev it higher than 4,500 RPM. And to boot, also, no matter how hard I pushed the throttle, there seemed to be some resistance to accelerating. So what did I find? Well, I noticed, firstly, my first observation was a DSC malfunction. The DSC malfunction light illuminated. As well, I also noted the engine light was on. Now, okay, it obviously went into limp mode. The car kind of putted along and I couldn't really accelerate. I couldn't drive very fast, and it just kind of chugged along. So I drove the car home. I put it on my OBDII scanner. I plugged it in, and I did a reset, and lo and behold, it cleared. So off I went, and it was good again for a short period of time. Shortly after that, I drove the car off again, and like I said, the lights re-illuminated. The car went back down to limp mode, and there I was, stuck with what was obviously more than a glitch. We had a problem in the car. So I guess what I can say is I became indoctrinated to the art of E60 engine malfunctions. Many of those malfunctions you read about online, and after this actually happened to me, I did a little reviewing online to see what could have actually happened. I realized that the car needed more attention than what I could give it directly. I decided to do a little research, and what I found was online there's a lot of forums that actually people have experienced the same problems that I had. So, and I hope this video helps me. Basically what ended up happening was my car died. I broke the BMW E60 M5. Not only that, it went into limp mode, and that yielded this car pretty much effectively useless. So let me explain today what the result was, what did I do, and what rough costs were associated with that. So off to the dealer I went, and I sat like patiently waiting to find out what happened to my car. Finally, the service writer came out and actually delivered the news. The news, what they said had happened with the M5 was they pulled a code on the car. So they ran the scan and the code, and they pulled a number 2B15. A 2B15 basically equated to a throttle actuator is faulty. So they said you need to replace your throttle actuator, a fairly pricey part that unfortunately is fairly common for failures. So anyway, I said, okay, that's great. Well, let's fix the car. Well, it wasn't that simple. They said we found another problem. Well, apparently along the way there was another code, and I guess there was a heated mirror issue that somehow they were able to pull out of the computer. So anyway, the mirror issue, they had to order parts in, and we had to bring the car back to get that sorted out. But that wasn't a problem for getting the car back on the road. Now back on track here. Again, if I can summarize, they basically found a throttle actuator failure or fault. So they suggested that you need a new throttle assembly. Well, okay, I said get it done. So they proceeded with that work. But fortunately, the extended warranty that I had purchased, or the extended warranty I have on my M5, fortunately covered the repairs that we're talking about. Because I didn't know what I was getting into. These M5s, that's something that if you watch my previous video, you'll recognize that I do suggest extended warranty, because there's numerous complex systems in these M5s that can lead you astray and leave you stranded or leave the car broken and bent. So basically, the long and short of it is, get the extended warranty on the E60 M5. It's very advisable. Now, anyway, back to track here. So when I had the car in for servicing and I said just go ahead with the repair, they did the follow-up and verified that in fact my extended warranty did cover the repair. Fortunately, why? Because to do this repair, to replace that throttle actuator, there actually was a pile of parts that they had to remove to gain access. So anyway, they had to remove and reinstall after repair the cowling, microfilter, expansion tank. They had to remove the intake plenum, a bunch of hoses and other jazz that really made access not really that immediate. So it was pretty obvious that labor would ring up a pretty significant bill. So again, I was lucky. I actually had an extended warranty to cover my ass on that one. So the long and short of it is, after doing some research, and fortunately, like I said, the extended warranty covered this. Not everybody has extended warranties. And after doing some research, I quickly discovered that these throttle actuators are not cheap. You're probably talking about $600, $700 Canadian for one of those assemblies. Now that's not insignificant. Now, of course, that's just the part. So you start throwing labor in there, that could easily be, I don't know, like they never really broke it down for cost for labor, but I could imagine, you know, typically you're at least the same price again, plus more, probably a $1,500 to $2,000 repair through the dealer if you had to pay out of your pocket. So fortunately, I didn't have to dole that out. Now, what I do understand, for those that have experienced this or possibly are in the midst of this type of failure, fret not. If you're a little bit handy, it doesn't sound like it's the hugest job, but if you do need the car at the end of the weekend, it might be a challenge. But if you can sit on it and the M5 is your second driver, you know what, park it in the garage and chip away at it. So it's actually not that hard to do yourself. It just takes a little time, a little patience, and just work your way through it. Now, I did happen to notice online, you don't actually have to pay for the full part. There are actually rebuild kits out there for in the neighborhood of about $150 to $200. You can get a rebuild kit, because inside these actuators, there's little plastic gears, and these little plastic gears look pretty flimsy, and those are the parts that they mesh together and they wear out. Now, to me, it looks like pretty much a recipe for disaster with these cars. I think even if you put in a new actuator, I think it's a matter of time before you'll experience the same failure again. Now, I don't know what those kits look like, if they're a better and more improved gears, but I can say this much: you can do the repair on a relatively modest budget if you choose to do that. So don't fret, it can be done relatively cheaply, and know this, $150 to $200, and if you can do it yourself, is all you're going to be out. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and come back soon. Thank again.
Thank goodness I got it back.